BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm finally here to do my May wrap-up. In May, I read a total of 5 books, but I started a whole bunch. And if you've seen my June TBR, you will know which ones I started and didn't finish, and those are the ones that I will be reading this month. I actually have finished a couple of those books that I talked about in my TBR, so I'm excited about that. 5 isn't too bad, right? It's not too bad. Okay, so they're all over the place. I will just start with the top and work my way down. The first book that I completed was Rump, The True Story of Rumpelstiltskin by Liesl Shirtliff, however you say her name. This is a book that I read to my boys every night until it was done, and they really enjoyed it. I gave this book a solid 4 stars, and everyone should know, or at least those that read fairy tales and other kinds of stories when they were little, people should know who Rumpelstiltskin is. And I have never read the original story. I don't think. I mean, I've watched like cartoons about fairy tales when I was younger because they actually played that on like Nickelodeon. And what else? I think my grandma read me Rumpelstiltskin. But basically, if you haven't heard of the story before, there is a imp or some kind of like woodland creature. He's kind of like a fairy, but not really, but he's not fully human. Anyways, his name is Rumpelstiltskin, and he's able to spin straw into gold. Now, I never remembered the beginning of the Rumpelstiltskin story, so there is this maiden, a farmer's daughter, I thought it was, and the farmer tells the king that his daughter can spin straw into gold, and the king is very greedy and likes gold, and so he takes her as his wife, and he lets her know, you know, if you can actually spin straw into gold, I will then marry you. And he gives, like, he throws her in this dungeon. There's all this straw. She's crying her eyes out because it's a lie, it's not true. And this little woodland creature comes in, and he goes, what will you give me if I spin all this straw into gold? And she like gives him something, and each night he says it again. And he comes back 3 nights in a row because the king is getting greedier and greedier, and the maiden is getting more and more desperate. And the very last day she says, I will give you my firstborn child. And the Rumpelstiltskin is extremely excited in the story that I read when I was little. And so he comes back years later and tries to claim the firstborn child. The maiden is now queen. She's completely distraught. And he goes, well, here's the deal. If you can tell me my name and I'll give you 3 days to figure it out, then you can keep the baby. And she ends up finding out what his name is, and she tells it to him, and that's the end of the story. So it's like this little creepy fable, fairy tale kind of thing that I read when I was little. But the cute thing about this story in particular is that it's set when Rumpelstiltskin is a little kid, and it goes through from there. It says when he was born, who he lives with, how he came to be, what Rumpelstiltskin means, and the poor boy is actually cursed, and he comes from a magical family. So it's this very cute tale about a boy who doesn't want to be able to do this kind of magic, but it was like preordained or predestined to be. In his world, whatever your name is basically what you will strive to become as an adult. And so he feels like Rump as a name isn't worthy enough for a future, and which is really sad, and come to find out that's not his full name, it's only part of his name. So I really enjoyed it. The chapters are pretty short, they're about 3 to 5 pages. Definitely something that you could read to the kids every night, just 1 chapter a night. And there's nothing too scary or anything like that. There are ogres, but they're very nice. And yeah, the meanest person in this story is actually the dad, the maiden's dad. He's pretty cruel, and there is a portion where I was a little shocked at what he said, because it was slightly violent, but most fairy tales are violent, and we sugarcoat them for the kids so that way it's not as scary. So there is about a paragraph, maybe just a few sentences towards the end of the book where the father of the maiden gets real nasty, and that's a little bit mean. But other than that, a great kid's story. I really liked it. I do own her Jack and the Beanstalk tale, so I cannot wait to pick that one up in the future, hopefully this year sometime. Next, I have Dawn in Damnation. This is by Clark Casey. I received this book from the author, and he contacted me on my email, and he said, I know you really enjoy Stephen King, and that you've read the Dark Tower series, so you like gunslingers, and you read Salem's Lot, which is vampires. He says, I've written a paranormal western. I really think you'll like it. And it's very short. It's, how many pages is it? Does it say? It's 163 pages, so it went really quickly. This was a lot of fun, and I actually just picked up his second book in the series yesterday from the post office. So I'm not going to show you the sneak peek yet because I do want to read it and review it, but oh my gosh, this is so fun. So if you like westerns, and I didn't think I would like westerns because, you know, you grow up and you think about cowboys and Indians or Clint Eastwood and, you know, Make My Day, you know, any kind of like western you always think is like really cheesy and stupid, and who wants to read that? But this is a lot of fun. So basically what we have here is we have a western town, kind of like a ghost town, and it is limbo. So it's between heaven and hell, and all of these people have been placed here because either they've done some killing in their previous life before they died. Now, there's no like moral on why they're here, but basically what legend says for these people that, you know, are coexisting in this limbo, if you are killed in this place in Damnation, then you will go straight to hell. But, and this has never been proven, but if you can last an entire year without shooting anybody or being shot yourself, then you'll go to heaven. And there's a writer that is the like narrator of this book, and he's been really trying to get to that 1 year mark because he doesn't want to be here, and he really didn't do anything wrong really before he died, so he believes he should be going to heaven and he doesn't want to go to hell. And his thing in this Damnation is, like I said, he's the narrator of the story, but he also is the newspaper writer and editor of Damnation. It's called The Crapper. So people get to read The Crapper and they find out the new people that have arrived, you know, since they've died, what they used to do before they died, how they were sent to hell, because the majority of the people end up being shot and sent to hell within days of coming to Damnation. There's a lot of colorful individuals, and not only, and my son laughs at the cover, not only is there like cowboys and Indians in this western limbo, but there's vampires and werewolves for some odd reason. And it just gives it a little extra to the story to make it a little bit more jazzy, like something more fun to read. yeah, so they have like their hierarchies. So the Indians get a portion of Damnation, and well, when I say Indian, I mean Native American. The Native Americans get a portion. The vampire, there's one solitary vampire. Poor thing. There is a pack of werewolves, and then we have all of the humans, which are gunslingers, like Billy the Kid, like really bad thieves and murderers, and then we have miners that have died, and other kinds of Western workers from back in the day. So they're all coexisting in this place, and things start to change once a woman arrives in Damnation, and they rarely get women in Damnation. So when this woman arrives in her wedding dress, everyone's freaking out, and then something happens and she starts growing a tummy, and then the tummy gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're like, how is this possible? You're dead. Why do you have a baby? And that's all I'm gonna say. So if you like what I've just said about the paranormal Western, how they have this baby growing, this very weird things happening, definitely pick up this book. Like I said, it's extremely fast to read. I really do like the crapper portion of it. As you can see here, you have the crapper, and then it just catalogs the people that have arrived in Damnation and how their entrance and exit of Damnation occurs. Yeah, I am really enjoying this. Again, thank you so much, Clark Casey, if you even watch my videos. I'm so grateful for you for sending me this. Again, super fun. I can't wait to get to the second book, which is on my kitchen table, but it's called, let me find that last page. It's called The Dead Indian Wars. They're going to have a tiff, and I can't wait to find out what happens next. I did give this one 4 stars. It would have been 5, but it was like, I wanted just a little bit more because it was kind of short. So a good solid 4 stars. I did enjoy it. All right, the next book that I read, I actually pretty much started and finished on the plane ride home from Kauai. This is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shannon McGuire. I read the first book, what's it called? Every Heart a Doorway. And this is the second book of the Wayward Children trilogy series. I don't know how many books there's going to be. Let me talk about the first one really quick. The first book is about a whole bunch of kids that are staying in a home. So it's the home for wayward children. Basically, all these kids at one point went through a magical door into some kind of fairy tale realm. And they were there for a while. They loved it, and then for some reason they got kicked out of the fairy tale world, and they are striving to find a way back in. So basically, the Wayward home is kind of like a AA group where they're trying to overcome the want or need for the door. Like the head mistress is like, you can survive. I survived. I had a door. I went through that door. I got kicked out of that door. And even though it hurts, you will live. You will function in society. Life will go on. And so all these kids are really distraught. This book is about Jack and Jill, Jacqueline and Jillian, you know, Jack and Jill, the nursery rhyme. They're 2 twins that are at the Wayward home. We meet them in the first book, and in the second book, it's their story. How they found their door, what happened when they went through, what their fairy tale world is like, and how they got kicked out of that world. Very interesting. It's hard to fathom because when you read the first book, you have these strict expectations. There's Jack, who is into science and medical and like human bodies and all of the kind of like creepy mad scientist lab stuff. And then you have Jill, who's like this free body, hippie, quiet with long flowing hair and dresses. And then when you realize what they used to be when they were little and how they became who they were as, you know, big girls, you're like, oh. And when I mean big girls, I mean like, I think they're 14, 15. I can't remember when they went through the door. They weren't that old. Are they 10 or 12? I can't remember. Anyways, it's very short. I really enjoy this fairy tale style. I do have Beneath the Sugar Sky that I borrowed from the library, but because I like these books so much, I'm going to return that and actually just buy the third book because I would really like to pick it up next month. I think, yeah, I'm really excited to pick it up. And I have no idea what that one is about. It might be another companion novel where it takes another set of kids. Wouldn't it be good? Beneath the Sugar Sky. Wouldn't it be good if it was like Hansel and Gretel? But I don't think Hansel and Gretel was in the first book. That would make sense though, right? Anyways, yeah, definitely love, love, love. And you can see here, that's the chest that the girls went through to get to their door. And this is like the bleak environment that they saw when they came out into their world of darkness and stuff like that. I don't want to give anything else away. Definitely pick up these books. Again, super short. It took me like, my plane ride was 5 hours and I finished this in maybe 2.5, 3 hours. So yeah, not that long. All right, 2 more books. The next book that I read is Brooding YA Hero, Becoming a Main Character Almost as Awesome as Me by Carrie DeRiccio and illustrated by Linnea Gear. I requested this by Sky Pony Press a couple months ago. When I say couple, I maybe got it at the beginning of the year, maybe towards the end of last year. That's not even a couple, that's many months ago. Let's continue. I was attracted to the cover because this handsome little drawing here caught my eye. And this section right here, Becoming a Main Character Almost as Awesome as Me, really caught my interest because that's like a funny little remark. And I was like, okay, I get it. I love it. Look at this picture. It says Team Me, hashtag Team Me. So funny. Okay, so how do I explain this book? I've talked about it a couple times on my channel. Is it? I don't know. Maybe it's easier on this side. It is a non-fiction / fiction story. So we have brooding teenager here, Broody McHottie Pants. That's his name, Broody. I made sure when I read this book to my children that I read it like this. I'm Broody McHottie Pants. And they absolutely loved it. It is a legit step-by-step instruction on the ways to create a YA novel. The tropes that come along with YA, the cliches that come along with YA. It's so fun. It's so fun. I mean, you can't really tell by the table of contents. But basically, we have here a silly guide to create a YA novel. What you need to create a YA novel. And it makes fun of itself. So Broody is the main character. He's always been the main character. But right now, the author, and it's in capital, the author, which is maybe like God or some omnipotent, I can never say that word correctly, being the creator of this fictional world. So the author tells Broody, you know, I think I'm going to take a break. It's not you, it's me. And Broodie's like, what are you talking about? Like, seriously, I'm the best. You can't just leave me be. And the author's like, well, I think I'm just going to, like, you know, take a break from you. And Broodie doesn't like that. He's feeling depressed. And he's like, well, you know, there are side characters that have never been a main character. Maybe I will write a book to help them know what it's like to become a main character and the steps involved to become a main character. And maybe through me writing this book, I'll feel a little bit better about the author putting me aside for a little while. And then we have here Blondie Damini, which I absolutely love. And she's the antagonist, according to Broodie. She's the evil ex-girlfriend. And she has her moments in this book as well. While he's writing his story, she pops in every once in a while and talks about, while rolling her eyes, oh my gosh, like he totally thinks he's too cool for school and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. And Broodie's like, I can't believe you're totally like in my book. Like I didn't even say you could. It's so funny. And then again, like, so we have this fictional story of Broodie writing this book as our main storyline. But within the storyline, we have Broodie's book itself, which is the nonfiction portion, and it tells us about how to write. Let me just give you an example. On page 58, we have types of main characters. So we have the Broodies, you know, like Edward Cullen. And then there's types of Broodies. There's the contemporary standard Broodie. There's the historical fiction Broodie, the jock Broodie, the mysterious foreign Broodie, the British Broodie, the handsome loner, the handsome, oh, it is loner. I don't know what I was thinking. The handsome loner Broodie, the guy in a band Broodie, the military Broodie, the lovable rogue Broodie, the paranormal Broodie, the princely Broodie, the forbidden Broodie, and common variations. The Broodie who is your brother's best friend, the Broodie who is the brother of your best friend. And as you can see, here's a couple illustrations of normal Broodie, jock Broodie, and princely Broodie. It's just absolutely hilarious. And if you read a lot of YA, I know I've read a ton of YA, I can see these characters from Twilight to in, what is it called? I don't own the story. Map of Fates? No, that's the second book. What's the first book called? But there's always these boys. Even Noah Shaw is a Broodie. He would be like a like a rich Broodie. You know what I mean? Like a lot of our YA male characters come into the scene and they're very mysterious and they like ignore our main character, or they'll be there every once in a while, or what. It's just reading this was just so fun, and my son really liked it, and he likes writing stories, so it kind of helped him out with his writing, so he knew like what came next. Basically, yeah, I really like this. I gave it 4.25 stars. It was almost a 5-star book, but it kind of got redundant because Broodie is always talking about himself, so that sentence alone was in this book many times, like, oh, because, you know, no one is as good as me, I love staring at myself in the mirror, blah 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 blah. Lots and lots of fun. If you are into picking up a nonfiction about writing, but also a silly and sarcastic like thing about YA in general, definitely pick up this book. Worth the read. Definitely worth the read. It's so much fun. All right, and the very last book that I completed in May is Gustav Gloom and the Four Terrors. This is, again, by Adam Troy Castro, illustrated by Kristen Margiotta. This is the third book in the Gustav Gloom series. There are 7 books total, I think. 6 or 7. I own all of them. In this one, we have Fernie and Pearlie. The father, Mr. What, is completely beyond upset at the girls because he's a safety, like, instructor or something. Like, he goes to all these different places and inspects buildings and writes books on how buildings and people and other areas can be safe. They need safety railings, or they need, scuffs on the stairs so there's no slipping, and just things like that. Like, that's his job, is to be a professional safety instructor. And so the Gloom house across the street, even though Gustav is a very sweet boy, Mr. What is like, this place is way too dangerous for my 2 girls. We need to move. I cannot have my girls going over to your house and having their lives threatened every single time they go over to visit. So the dad's trying to sell the home, and the girls are like, but we don't want to move. We've always wanted to live near a haunted house, and it's not even haunted, it's just filled with shadows. And they really like Gustav. Gustav is their best friend. They don't want to move away. And so they're trying to figure out how to get their dad to see their side. And they're also sabotaging every person that comes, like people who are checking out the house to see if they want to move in, like potential buyers. They keep sabotaging all of those people so that way they won't move away. And Gustav says, hey, Mr. What, I really want Fernie to come and speak to a man in the house. It's very important that she comes and talks to him. But I know that you don't like her coming in alone, so can you please come as well? And so Mr. What goes, okay, fine. We'll all go as a family to talk to this man, and then we're leaving. If I see anything dangerous, we're just going to leave. And Gustav goes, okay, that's fine. And sure enough, everything goes wrong, and it goes from there. So the 4 terrors, there's actually like a prison break, and the 4 terrors are some really, really bad shadow people that were in prison, and there is a Lord Obsidian that lives down in the country, in the dark country, and he is trying to capture the What family. He basically wants an army of humans and shadows so he can like take over the world. I mean, isn't that what normal villains want to do, is just take over the world? So Fernie's trying to keep that from happening. She's trying to protect her dad and her sister, and Gustav's there like going, I didn't expect this to happen, although I should have. It's a lot of fun. I've said this in all of my other reviews. By the way, I gave this book 3 stars. In all of my other reviews, the only downside to these books are the run-on sentences. I mean, they are very, very long. Here we have, this is just an example, that's about, I mean, you can see that's like 5 or 6 lines, and there is 1 oh no, I lied. There's 2 commas in that entire thing and 1 period. So it's long. So as an example, I'm going to read it to you. All of a sudden, the iron hand loosened and Fernie's hand slid free, marked with ugly red scratches, a lot like the ones she suffered when Harrington had been playing with her favorite pen and she'd been a little too insistent about trying to get it back. There's no period there besides get it back, period. I mean, I had to take a couple breaths. So that's the only thing I can complain about with these books. They're run-on sentences, and they're run-on sentences on purpose. I think it's because you're supposed to read it quickly, because you're supposed to be anxious while reading it, because this is kind of like a baby paranormal story. So you're supposed to read in a very quick voice, which is what I do for the kids. I read it very quickly and almost like in like, and then I get to the end. And that's how Fernie talks, is with all these run-on sentences. Gustav, actually, you know, now that I'm talking about it, Gustav does have periods. When he's talking, it's very short. He has clipped language, but when Fernie talks, it's a long time. It takes forever. Or it's her narration of the story. So she talks like that, like lots of run-on sentences. All right, those were the 5 books. Wow, I'm already at 30 minutes. I apologize for all of my long videos. I know some people love long videos, some people hate them. I haven't had anybody actually complain that my videos are too long. That's just me. It's just, I am a talker. There's lots of people that do extremely fast, quick reviews. I like to take my time with them and kind of like give you a well-rounded experience of the book before you pick it up. Just so you know how it is, so before you pick it up and you know if you want to read it or not. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry this video took so long to be put up, but now that I'm well rested and I feel good, I can film. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!